My beloved brothers and sisters, when we speak of inviting others towards goodness, when we talk of calling people towards the truth, towards Allah, towards righteousness, remember, it is not only about the message itself but also about the manner in which the message is conveyed. The Quran beautifully reminds us, call towards the way of your Lord with wisdom and beautiful preaching. This teaches us that the truth must be spoken with wisdom, gentleness, and compassion. Let us explore together what it truly means to call with hikmah. When we speak about the balance of truth and gentleness, we need to realize that this is one of the greatest challenges in our journey of calling people towards Allah. Many times, people think that as long as they are speaking the truth, it does not matter how it is delivered. They feel that being blunt or harsh is justified because the truth is the truth. But in reality, wisdom is not only in knowing the truth but also in knowing how, when, and where to deliver it. If truth is delivered in a manner that is rough, humiliating, or insensitive, it can cause the very opposite effect of what we intended. Instead of bringing someone closer to Allah, we may actually drive them further away. That is why the Quran constantly emphasizes gentleness, compassion, and wisdom in calling towards the path of Allah. Take the example of Prophet Musa, peace be upon him. Allah commanded him to go to Pharaoh, the most arrogant and oppressive man of his time. Pharaoh claimed to be God himself, yet Allah told Musa to speak to him with gentle speech. Imagine that. If Musa was told to speak gently to Pharaoh, then what about the people around us, our parents, our children, our relatives, our neighbors, our friends? They are not Pharaoh. If harshness was not prescribed even in the case of Pharaoh, then how can it be justified in ordinary situations? This is wisdom. The truth must be spoken, but it must be wrapped in mercy, patience, and kindness. We often underestimate the impact of tone. A kind word can heal a broken heart, while a harsh word can shatter a strong one. A gentle tone can make someone accept advice with gratitude, while a rude tone can make them resist even if they know the advice is correct. The Prophet Muhammad was known for his gentleness. The Quran says if he was harsh and hard-hearted, the people would have dispersed from around him. What does that teach us? It teaches us that even the most powerful truth must be delivered in a way that opens hearts, not in a way that pushes people away. Gentleness does not mean weakness. It does not mean compromising the truth. It means that while we remain firm upon principles, we deliver them with compassion. Think of it as medicine. The medicine is the truth, but the coating that makes it easy to swallow is gentleness. Without the coating, the medicine may be too bitter and rejected, but with gentleness, it becomes easier to accept. Hikmah or wisdom is exactly that balance. So, my brothers and sisters, whenever we advise, correct, or call someone towards goodness, let us remember this balance. Let us ask ourselves, am I speaking in a way that will open their heart or close it? Am I trying to guide or am I trying to win an argument? Wisdom means choosing words carefully, using kindness as the vehicle of truth. And always remembering that our goal is not to prove superiority, but to bring people closer to Allah. When we talk about wisdom in calling towards Allah, one of the most important aspects is understanding the condition of the people we are speaking to. No two individuals are the same. Everyone has their own journey, their own background, their own struggles, and their own level of understanding. If you speak to a scholar, you will address him differently than how you would speak to a child. If you speak to someone who has been practicing faith for many years, you will speak differently than to someone who has never prayed a single prayer in their life. This awareness is part of hikmah. Without it, even the most truthful words may not reach the heart. With it, even a few simple words can transform a life. Sometimes the wisest call is not through words at all, but through silence, patience, or simply being there for someone. Not every situation requires a lecture. There are moments where giving advice may hurt more than it helps, because the person is not ready to hear it. The Prophet himself would often wait for the right moment. He would observe the person, their mood, their needs, and then speak in a way that was relevant to them. For example, to a young man struggling with desires, he did not bombard him with harsh condemnations. Instead, he asked him a simple question. Would you like this for your mother, for your sister, for your daughter? In that way, he made the young man reflect from his own perspective. That is wisdom, understanding where a person is standing and guiding them from that point. Another example is in family life. If a parent wants their child to pray, wisdom is not in shouting and comparing them to others. Wisdom is in recognizing the child's level of maturity, showing them love, inspiring them with gentle reminders, and praying for them. If a spouse wants their partner to become closer to Allah, wisdom is not in constant criticism, but in encouragement and kindness. People's hearts respond more to care than to scolding. We must also remember that people have different intellectual capacities. Some people need detailed reasoning, while others are moved by simple stories. Some are inspired by logic, while others are inspired by emotion. Wisdom is in identifying which approach works for which person. This is why one method of Dawah can never fit all. A wise scholar adapts, like a teacher who teaches each student according to their ability. And sometimes, wisdom is in letting your character do the talking. A smile, patience in the face of provocation, honesty in business dealings. These are powerful calls towards Allah without a single word being spoken. People often remember how you made them feel more than what you said. If your behavior reflects kindness, integrity, and humility, that itself becomes a silent but powerful Dawah. So, my brothers and sisters, Calling with hikmah requires us to see people as individuals with unique situations. It requires empathy, understanding, and patience. It requires us to recognize when to speak, when to remain silent, and when to simply lead by example. Guidance is not just about delivering the truth, it is about delivering it in a way that touches the heart. And for that, one must always consider the condition of the person in front of them. One of the most powerful ways to call people towards Allah with wisdom is by leading through example. Words, no matter how eloquent, can be forgotten or even ignored, but actions leave a lasting impression. People may argue with what you say, but they cannot deny what they see in your conduct. When your character reflects honesty, kindness, humility, and consistency, it becomes a form of silent dawah that can be more effective than any speech. The Prophet himself was described as a walking Quran. His life embodied the message he preached, and people embraced Islam not just because of his words, but because of the way he lived. Imagine someone inviting others to pray regularly, but he himself neglects prayer. His words will carry no weight. On the other hand, if a person consistently establishes prayer, others around him will naturally be inspired. They may ask, what gives this person such peace? What makes them so disciplined? That curiosity itself becomes a doorway for dawah. In the same way, if someone speaks about honesty but is known to cheat in business, his advice will sound hollow. But if he is trustworthy, fair, and transparent, people will be drawn to his way even without him saying much. Leading by example is wisdom because it turns theory into reality and it allows people to see the beauty of Islam in practice. When we look at the early companions of the Prophet, many of them entered Islam not because of long debates or arguments, but because they observed the noble character of the Prophet and his companions. A kind gesture, a smile, fulfilling a trust, forgiving someone who wronged them. These simple but profound acts opened hearts more than lengthy discussions. This is why wisdom in Dawah demands that our behavior aligns with our message. If there is a gap between what we say and what we do, it will only create confusion and push people away. In family life, leading by example is especially important. If parents want their children to hold on to salah, they must establish it themselves. If they want their children to avoid foul language, they must clean their own speech. Children learn far more from what they see than from what they are told. Similarly, in the workplace, a Muslim who is punctual, hardworking, respectful, and fair will inspire colleagues without preaching. People will notice and ask questions, and that curiosity will become a chance to introduce them to the values of faith. Wisdom also means realizing that sometimes preaching without practice can do harm. People may develop resentment if they see hypocrisy, but when they see consistency, they develop respect. Leading by example requires sincerity, patience, and humility. It requires you to hold yourself accountable before calling others. So, my brothers and sisters, remember that your character is your strongest dawah. If you want to call towards Allah with hikmah, start by living the message you want to convey. Be the kind of person whose presence itself is a reminder of Allah. Let your actions speak so loudly that even if you never utter a word, people see the beauty of Islam reflected in your life. Calling towards Allah with wisdom also means knowing when to avoid argumentation and hostility. Many times, people confuse dawah with winning debates or proving that they are right. They think that if they can outsmart the other person, humiliate them in front of others, or silence them in an argument, they have done their duty. In reality, that is not wisdom. The goal of calling to Allah is not to show superiority, but to soften hearts and open minds. If a debate ends with anger, resentment, or humiliation, then what has been achieved? Even if the truth was spoken, its impact is lost because the heart is closed. That is why the Quran teaches us to invite to the path of Allah with wisdom and good preaching. And when there is disagreement, to argue in the best of ways. This means that if there is discussion, it must be respectful, calm, and dignified. Think about it when someone is insulted or ridiculed. Their natural reaction is to become defensive. They stop listening, even if deep down they know the other person is right. On the other hand, if they are treated with respect, even while disagreeing, they may continue to reflect later on. Wisdom is not about overpowering people in conversation, but about planting a seed in their hearts. Sometimes that seed may take years to grow, but it will not grow at all if it was planted with hostility. The Prophet himself was an example of this. He faced people who insulted him, mocked him, and rejected him. Yet he did not respond with arrogance or hostility. He remained calm and dignified, often replying with silence or with words full of patience and kindness. Even when he disagreed, he never degraded the other person. His mission was not to win arguments, but to win hearts, and that is wisdom. When we find ourselves in a situation where someone is arguing, it is often better to step back than to continue the quarrel. Arguing for the sake of ego is a trap. A wise caller knows when to disengage, because forcing a discussion when the other person is not ready will only create distance. At times, it is enough to leave them with a thought, a gentle reminder, or even silence, and trust that Allah will guide them in His own time. Another danger of hostility in Dawah is that it makes people associate the religion with harshness. If someone experiences rudeness or anger in the name of Islam, they may think Islam itself is harsh. But if they experience patience, humility, and kindness, they will see Islam as a religion of mercy. That is why every caller must be careful. We are not just representing ourselves, we are representing the deen of Allah. So, my brothers and sisters, wisdom means avoiding unnecessary arguments. It means presenting the truth with clarity, but also with compassion. It means remembering that guidance does not come from proving someone wrong. It comes from Allah opening their heart. Our job is to deliver the message beautifully, without hostility, and to trust Allah with the outcome. Patience and consistency are at the very heart of calling with wisdom. When you invite someone towards Allah, you must understand that change does not usually happen overnight. Human beings are complex, and their habits, beliefs, and lifestyles take time to transform. If you expect immediate results, you will quickly become frustrated. And that frustration may turn into anger or harshness, which defeats the purpose of Dawah. Wisdom teaches us that guidance is a process. It may take days, months, or even years. Some people you advise may reject you the first time, the second time, and the third time, but eventually your consistency and patience may leave an imprint on their hearts. If you give up too early or lose your temper, you may close the door that could have opened with a little more patience. The prophets of Allah are our greatest examples in this matter. Look at Prophet Nuh, peace be upon him. He called his people for 950 years. Day and night, in public and in private, he remained consistent. Yet only a small number of people accepted his message. Imagine the patience it required to continue for centuries with such little apparent success. But he understood that his duty was not to bring results, it was to keep delivering the message with sincerity and perseverance. That is the essence of patience in Dawah, doing your part consistently and leaving the results to Allah. In our daily lives, patience might mean repeatedly reminding a loved one about prayer without scolding them. It might mean setting a good example every day at work, even if nobody seems to notice. It might mean being kind and respectful to someone who disagrees with you, waiting for the moment Allah softens their heart. Sometimes, people are not rejecting the truth itself, they are simply not ready for it. Your patience may give them the space they need to eventually accept it. Consistency is also crucial. A person who gives advice once and then disappears may not have much impact, but someone who consistently demonstrates good character, consistently shows up for prayers, consistently speaks kindly, and consistently maintains their principles becomes a living reminder of faith. People begin to trust that person, and that trust makes their words carry more weight. Consistency builds credibility, and credibility is what makes Dawah effective. It is also important to remember that impatience can turn people away. If you pressure, force, or scold someone harshly because they are not changing fast enough, they may become resentful. True wisdom is to continue with kindness even when you feel disappointed. Your patience is a form of trust in Allah's plan. You may never see the fruits of your effort in your lifetime, but that does not mean your effort was wasted. Every kind word, every gentle reminder, every silent prayer plants a seed, and sometimes that seed blooms long after you are gone. So, my brothers and sisters, patience and consistency are not just virtues, they are necessities for anyone who wishes to call towards Allah with hikmah. Keep planting, keep watering, keep praying. The growth is in the hands of Allah, but your effort is never lost. At the core of calling with wisdom lies a very important realization: guidance does not come from you. It comes only from Allah. No matter how eloquent your speech may be, no matter how convincing your arguments are, and no matter how beautifully you present the truth, if Allah does not will guidance for a person at that moment, their heart will not move. This understanding brings about humility. It teaches us that our role is simply to be a means, a messenger, a conveyor of the truth. The outcome is never in our hands. This is why the wisest scholars always combine their efforts with sincere prayer. They ask Allah to open the hearts of those they speak to make their words a source of light, and to forgive their shortcomings in delivering the message. Without reliance on Allah, Dawah becomes an exercise of the ego. With reliance on Allah, it becomes an act of worship. The Prophet Muhammad himself was reminded in the Quran, "Indeed, you do not guide whom you love, but Allah guides whom He wills." This was revealed regarding his beloved uncle Abu Talib, who supported him but never accepted Islam, despite the Prophet's deep love and his persistent dawah. The final decision rested with Allah. If this was the case for the Messenger of Allah, then who are we to think that we can guide anyone by force? Wisdom means recognizing our limitations and placing our trust entirely in Allah's wisdom. When you call towards Allah with this mindset, your approach changes. You become more sincere because you are not trying to impress people. You are seeking Allah's pleasure. You become more patient because you know that results may take time, and that is part of Allah's plan. You also become more compassionate because you realize that the person in front of you is not rejecting you personally, but they may be struggling with their own journey, and only Allah can open their heart at the right time. This reliance on Allah saves you from arrogance when someone accepts your advice and from despair when someone rejects it. It also reminds us of the power of do. Sometimes the best way to call someone is not by speaking to them at all, but by raising your hands to Allah in the middle of the night and asking Him to guide them. A tear shed in prayer for someone can be more powerful than 1,000 words of advice. A wise scholar never underestimates this. They combine action with supplication, knowing that true change is in the hands of the Almighty. My brothers and sisters, to call with hikmah is to walk with humility. You deliver the message with kindness, consistency, and compassion, and then you step back and trust Allah to do what only He can do, guide hearts. This is not weakness, it is wisdom. It protects you from disappointment, it purifies your intention, and it keeps you connected to the one who is Al-Hakim, the All-Wise. So whenever you call, remember to call upon Him first. Without His help, no effort will bear fruit. With His help, even the smallest effort can change a life forever.